The Vatican just revealed who Pope Francis chose to help set church policy for years to come. Joining us with the latest from the Eternal City, Church Militant Rome correspondent, Dr. Jules Gomes. Jules, as you know, Rome's Synod on Synodality is around the corner, so let's take a sneak peek at those who will be attending. An all-star lineup, I got to tell you, from the U.S., with Chicago's Cardinal Blaise Supich, San Diego's Robert McElroy, Washington's Cardinal Wilton Gregory, and of course the homosexualist bridge builder, Father James Martin. Let's start with Supich. Thumbs up or thumbs down, Jules?
Definitely thumbs down, Brad. You rightly said that this is a lineup of liberal loudmouths who want to change church teaching on homosexuality and on the ordination of women. And Supich, for example, in 2015, I'm looking at my notes, equated the sale of aborted baby body parts with poverty, environmental issues. And he said this: we should be no less appalled by the indifference towards the thousands of people who die daily for the lack of decent medical care. And then went on to talk about, equating this moral horror with homeless people, hungry people, with racism, joblessness, with gun violence, and of course with the death penalty. This is Cardinal Blaise Supich, who is going to be one of the biggest stars at the Synod on Synodality, the Synod of Bishops in October, by the way, which is going to be the first Synod of Bishops in history that has 21% non-bishops voting.
Wow. Okay. Well, Supich, he took Cardinal Bernardin's place in Chicago, and Bernardin was known all about the seamless garment. And, Supich took that ball and ran with it. He's got that coming in spades right now with the seamless garment that, and in 2015, like you say, the sale of aborted baby body parts the story was broke by David DeLayden. And Supich said, oh, yeah, that's bad. But, also, it's poverty and everything else. The other thing that Supich was saying in 2018, the crisis on, the homosexual clerical abuse crisis was just breaking. Supich was asked about it and said, we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. The Pope's got better things to do, like in, climate change and stuff, and everybody's slapping their head. So let's move on for a minute. Robert McElroy, San Diego Cardinal, new Cardinal, Robert McElroy. Good or bad?
In 2019, at the USCCB conference, he repeatedly insisted that abortion is not a preeminent issue. There are more important issues, or equally important issues, like, supporting illegal immigrants, for example.
Yeah, now he was also heading overseeing down in California there, overseeing that latest gathering of the American Catholic priests, the AUSCP, and those guys are all about women's ordination and homosexuality. The three things that they wanted, and this was Robert McElroy was their listening session with these radical priests. They wanted to have ordaining homosexual priests. There's Robert McElroy there in the middle. Ordaining homosexual priests, that have deep-seated homosexual tendencies. Having homosexual priests who are already ordained to come out and say, yes, we're out and we're proud right now. This is the type of guy that he is. So he didn't shut that down. He's actually championing those causes. Also, he's got skeletons in his closet for covering up for sex abuse. Let's move on to D.C. Cardinal Wilton Gregory. What do we know about him?
Well, Gregory allowed the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, and I've been there, and it's glorious, stunning. But he allowed this shrine to participate for years in an annual gay pride parade. And Father Richard Sype, the expert on homosexuality in the priesthood, said, and we have reported on this, that it is very highly likely that Wilton Gregory himself is homosexual.
Okay, so that would start to put the lines together on all this. Moving on to a guy we've covered a few times, even in Rome Dispatch recently, Father James Martin. What should people know about him?
Well, James Martin has clearly said chastity is not a requirement for homosexuals, and Catholics must reverence gay marriage. What's terribly sad is for the last couple of years during June, which Catholics celebrate or commemorate as the month of the Sacred Heart. He's been promoting left, right, and center the LGBTEQ pride parades and kind of flagging that up as the most important thing for Catholics to participate in, which is really something.
Yeah, okay, so let's move away from the United States for a minute. What other unsavory pics have you noticed that came out in that latest presser from the Vatican that you'd like to bring up, the guys who were tapped by Pope Francis to attend this October Synod?
Well, we have Cardinal Sean O'Malley, again, very, very pro-gay. We have Sister Natalie Beckert, who is the nun occupying one of the highest positions in the Vatican, again, unprecedented, but somebody who, is keen on kind of pushing the door open for women deaconesses. We have Greg from Malta and Archbishop Scicluna, who are right on top, again, very pro-gay. And then somebody who's going to be at the very top of the whole synodal process is Cardinal Jean-Claude Hollerich, who has repeatedly again said that the Church should loosen up its moral teaching on homosexuality. So it doesn't look very good at all. I mean, from Mexico, the name of Cardinal Carlos Aguiar Peters stood out. He's supported civil unions for homosexual couples. So it is rather troubling that, it's not the balance of liberals and conservatives, but it's these liberal loudmouths who have been pushing vigorously for this particular agenda, who are so predominantly represented.
Now, just like in the Synod on the Family in 2015, the Extraordinary Synod the year before that, there were some good bishops who were in there as well. Like the late Cardinal George Pell, for instance. Is there any good prelates that you've noticed who are tapped by Francis for this latest round synodality?
Well, thank God Cardinal Luis Ladaria is going to be there, even though he will have retired as head of the DDF. Sadly, his successor, Victor Manuel Fernandez, is going to be also present, kind of counterbalance. Cardinal Gerhard Müller is going to be there. And again, one of the former heads of the DDF. But, there is a marked absence of, to put it kindly, conservative loudmouths, good people like the Bishop of Tyler, Texas, Bishop Strickland, or Cardinal Burke, or Cardinal Peter Erdo. These people don't seem to be represented there. At least I have not seen any of these stars from the conservative or traditionalist wing of the Catholic Church standing out in this very long list. Yeah, but by the way, Brad, if you're talking about good bishops, there might be some counterbalance here, because the entire spectrum of Eastern Catholic churches is represented. So you've got the Ethiopian, the Melkites, the Syro-Malabar, the Syro-Malankara, the Maronites, the Armenians, the Copts, the Ukrainians, and they might provide some sort of balance. On one hand, they might be soft to married priests, because all these churches have a married priest, or most of them have a married priesthood. But on the other hand, many of them come from Islamic countries or African countries, and therefore they're going to take a very strong stand against homosexuality and the ordination of women.
That's an interesting mix there. Let's pull away from your news hat for a minute and your spot-on analysis here, Jules. Just your gut reaction now. This is just you commenting on this. This is to you personally. They say personnel is policy, so we got all these people that are shuffled into the mix. In your estimation, Jules, how much impact will these men, good and bad, have, do you believe, on the outcome of this synod on synodality, which will culminate in 2024? Or is the outcome, do you have some gut reaction that the outcome may be already predetermined?
It almost seems like the outcome has been predetermined, because the methodology is suspect, and experts, in this area have pointed it out, Brad, that the methodology of who picks what from what is discussed, what is said. This isn't the kind of democracy where one person gets one vote and then a decision is made. They talk about a process of discernment, but who is in charge of discernment? The hall where the synod meetings are going to take place, apparently there are going to be round table discussions, lots and lots and lots of round table discussions. But how does that then filter to the top? Again, I've deliberately used the word loudmouths, because we know from group dynamics, in all these kinds of meetings, the person who shouts the most gets heard. There's also the question of language. What languages are going to be used as the lingua franca here, primary means of discourse? Is it a language like Italian, where most bishops from around the world are going to be marginalized, whereas some who are frequent visitors and have done their studies in Rome, can get a chance to dominate and influence those who are writing the reports? So there are a heck of a lot of questions that need to be asked. But we are waiting with bated breath for October, and that is going to be a month, I think, where news reports are going to be flying out 3 times a day, if I'm not mistaken.
And remember, after all of that extraordinary synod on the family, preceded by extraordinary synod of the bishops there in 2015, we got this Amoris Laetitia, which was actually penned, that just massive document was penned by the kissing bishop, the Archbishop there, Fernandez, who's actually now will be in charge of the DDF come September. So, yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards your predetermined analysis there, Jules. Thank you very much for all the insights and all the commentary. The bark of Peter, a.k.a. the Catholic Church, we know is unsinkable by Christ's design, and this is regardless of the number of seemingly drunken sailors at the helm. Even in the roughest seas, our task, first and foremost, is to always simply stay on board. So, Jules, thank you very much for the update and analysis.
Thank you, Brad.